Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Firm Report, Marketing for Lawyers. I am here live with Zach Hoffman.
What's up, Pat?
What's going
How you
on,
doing
man?
this morning?
Doing wonderful. Another Monday in the mix, giving people the heat.
Another Monday in the mix. The big 4th of July week coming up here.
Big week. Yeah, absolutely. I think that great week to be out marketing yourself. Everybody's going to be on their phones. People are going to be out spending money. We want them to be spending money on you.
Yep, on your businesses or, potential prospects calling
Absolutely.
Your business,
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it as we always do. No stalling, no fluff. We give you the real stuff. So for Exults, we got Zach Hoffman. I am your wacky producer, Pat, and let's jump right into it. So topic 1, we were talking about social proof in action, which I love that topic.
Well, let's go through the 5 categories we got today. So, we're going to go out there and start highlighting settlement wins. There's very few, I would say, major advertisers actually like posting their settlements on social media, which is something I think as social media curators as well as, people auditing and following the legal space, we just have to go and, look for who's posting the big wins and, highlight them here on the show. So we'll start to do that more frequently. Another topic to go into is July 4th safety and your community connection. It's an easy topic to hit on, what you can be doing for July 4th safety, and then also things to do in the community. When you have July 4th in town, then you also have more travel, more tourism, and those are different areas to be hitting on, we would say across the board. Once again, to go back into, becoming your local broadcaster as the lawyer within your local network, we're going to beat this topic up for weeks or months on end because at the end of the day, traditional media is traditional. It's old, it's dying, it's like going to the library. So you may as well become your own news source and become that, top of the mind person speaking about what's going on in your community, the accidents and incidences that are happening, and make sure that people know to call you when something does happen. And then finally, if you are in traditional media and you are supporting it out there, be sure to take your traditional media assets and carry them over to social media, because in today's market and today's economy, everybody's going to check social proof at the end of the day. I mean, even your local broadcasters that you're paying all this money for your traditional clips, essentially they have a social presence and they're making sure it's, fine-tuned, or else they're not going to keep their job on the local station. So, that should be a sign. Look, digital media is becoming almost everything in today's marketing economy.
100%. And I always say the first place that people go when they're deciding if they're going to do business with you or not is social media. And then they're going to click on your website from your social media. So the first 2 places they go are your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, and then they go right to your website and they want to see examples. They want to see results. And so you got to have all that stuff ready to go. Content is king.
Oh, for sure. And even as a marketer that does a lot of website marketing in general, hey, look, we see a lot of conversions coming from other environments outside of the website. So, the value of the websites, I don't want to say it's diminishing, but it's not, what it once was. And the idea is that people could just be only going to your social versus, the traditional side of your digital presence, which is your website. But don't let that fall far behind, so definitely cater to that. So when we're looking at like top settlements that we found out there, in the marketplace, of course, we checked numerous advertisers out there, but you have Morgan & Morgan coming through with many wins. We're looking through for the past week. So they highlighted a $15 million settlement that they had recently. I believe it was in Georgia, so that was the monster settlement. Then they also had a $2 million settlement in Detroit. Then we look at Michael the Bull up in New York. If you haven't checked this guy out on social media, it's MSL Legal on Instagram, and he does some great content. But essentially, Michael the Bull posted a $3.1 million verdict win, and that's a pretty big settlement out there. He also has a Millionaire Club posting through his social media. So I believe he's attracting a lot of clients, and he continues to highlight these wins because it does bring people into the funnel. Then a local marketer, injury lawyer, Steiner, Finer, Green down here in South Florida, they posted a $2.5 million settlement for a golf cart accident. And that runs us through some of the top 5 settlements we found out there on the internet, just in general, posting like they should be. Well, that's only four. So we looked at some of the largest advertisers. I'm not going to name them, but they didn't have any major settlements posted on their feed in the past week. So I highly encourage you as attorneys, if you're having wins, even in the six-figure realm, definitely communicate to your end audience, your leads that are coming in to turn them into clients.
Yeah, that's smart, is to really start to showcase your client wins. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we don't do that enough. We don't want to feel like, oh, we're bragging, or you helped this person's ad campaign do this, or I helped someone's organic do that, when in reality, we do need to be showcasing that. And according to you especially, it's like you want all that available on your website so people can go and see the results. They can see how they can get a hold of you. And so I think that showcasing that both on the website and on social is a great way to just get people to click into that consultation link.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, the websites are definitely a validation point. You got to make sure the websites are hitting hard, that they're communicating what you want them to communicate, and that they're, a live environment. That's where social media is kind of whooping like websites' butts, is they do have essentially more content being fed to them at a higher frequency and a higher clip than what you're seeing on the website perspective. So you got to be, really cognizant of what's on your website, but make sure it's almost like, I would say, like a cornerstone to like what you're actually doing throughout the internet as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if people go to your Facebook and they go to your social sites to see what you're up to, or if you're up to anything. And so that if they see a page that is dormant, they're going to think, okay, either this person is out of business, or they're not doing it anymore, or they've never done it. That can be tragic.
No, 100%. I mean, look, the eyes are definitely in social media. It doesn't matter what the age is right now. You continue to see the ages just continue to skew.
Yep.
They're on numerous different funnels. They could be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, on X. So it's really important to be syndicating that content. And more people are on YouTube watching the short videos, and also, staying relevant with the long form content as well. Even myself, in planning, vacation recently, it's like, yeah, they're going to YouTube videos or GPT. You're not really necessarily always out there reading as much content as you once were.
And I think that with the implementation of ChatGPT and a lot of these AI tools, we're noticing that copywriting is starting to sound a lot like everyone else. And so
I wouldn't go there. I mean, I wouldn't say
sometimes,
that.
I mean, on my feed, I'm definitely seeing it. A lot of people
look,
using
when
AI
I see
tools.
these social posts that are like cryometries, like more than like 100 characters, I call bullshit. That's all GPT written. Like, there's nobody writing these emotional posts.
No.
Like, that's just like word vomiting. Like, when you're going to social media, the words are spoken in video and in pictures, not necessarily like, hundreds of characters of like what I did or what this is.
Right.
It's, come on, be real.
And that's
like,
why I said,
post.
like, sometimes I'll see a really long typed out post, and you can almost see by the way it's worded that it's like, no normal person types like that.
I mean, look, we don't need to harp too much on what's going on at Meta with AI, but there's $100 million ransoms on the head of everybody at GPT, the original core. Yeah, Zuckerberg is basically hunting him down like head by head, and he's also trying to get like combined package deals with them. These guys are negotiating themselves, multi-$100 million deals to jump on board, because Meta knows their life depends on, being relevant with AI.
100%. 100%. The Meta AI is cool, but if I had to judge between, am I going to use Meta or ChatGPT today? I'm using ChatGPT.
Yeah, we're using GPT, and also Google's feeling the pressure. I mean, definitely a lot of people. We're seeing more conversions coming through GPT than ever before. And if I had the ability to jump on GPT ads like today, we would be investing a lot of dollars into them right now. So as soon as they open that ad network, GPT, let us in.
Zach's ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Sam Altman.
We'll
Zach's ready to write you a
even
check.
If they're a little off base. Google's selling some junk anyways, when you look at it. So, you may as well be out there in GPT, just, buying up some of those chats going on.
100%. Sam Altman, come on the show, bro. Come on the show, bro.
Yeah. Anyhow, going to topic 2, when we're talking 4th of July, it's an easy pivot to talk about safety and community events. So when it comes to driving, boating, ATVs, everybody gets a little silly on the July 4th holiday. They get out there, they do a lot of things. All I could do is encourage you to be safe out there. I personally not going to go very far. I'm not going to be going out into many public places. I just don't like to in general, and I can see fireworks from my place.
Yep.
But in general, people are going to be out there. They might be, driving under the influence. So it's important, potentially mentioning like DUI checkpoints or like, safety as to how you might need to wait a certain amount of time after a certain number of drinks. But also, people are going to be traveling with full cars. So, it's essential to really give them safety tips and make sure that when they're with their families that they know what to do if God forbid they're in an accident or, specific steps they should be taking to just be safe when they're in public areas. If they want to enjoy the 4th of July holiday and maximize it, safety tips are critical. And then also local events listing like a top 3, top 5, some of your own favorites in your local market are very critical, to communicate to your audience. So lawyers, 4th of July, perfect content opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're seeing this, it's June 30th, Monday. You have quite a few days to get some stuff prepared so that this weekend you're on the ball when it comes to people on their phones consuming content. You will be prepared with your content to post if you take some time today or tomorrow and get some good stuff recorded.
Oh, for sure. And even if you post raw on the 4th of July, I mean, people are going to be very, very tuned into their devices and they're going to be all over when it comes to, posting and just, indulging in content out there. I'm sure it's a high volume day when it comes to Meta in general.
Super huge.
Just like everything.
Super huge. I would say though, once spring and summer starts to crack on Memorial Day, and then you've got your 4th of July, and then you've got your Labor Day, and then going into the holidays, like those are big, huge pivot points and marketing points for a lot of people. You got your Prime Day coming up, this day coming up, that day coming up. Listen, people are always on their phone shopping for something. Make sure they see you.
For sure. I mean, they're on their phones. They're addicted to their phones. They're doing a lot on those on the platform. So, make sure you're present.
Totally.
To keep going forward, as well, another topic when it comes to 4th of July, you have a lot of tourists in town. You're going to have a lot of crowds and there's a lot of legal risks. I mean, there's a lot of premises that are liable for anything that goes down. They must have enough security for specific events on the 4th of July holiday. As well, with more tourists on the roads and more tourists maybe like renting boats or renting wave runners and specific things in your marketplace, it's critical to make sure that, consumers are looking out for themselves. Say don't become essential victims. But if you're out there putting out those safety tips and those cautions and, putting those things in the wind, essentially when, people are looking for advice or, they'll remember who gave them those tips going into the 4th of July holiday. And once again, with tourists in town in every major city, every major state throughout the country, there's going to be visitors, which, adds to potential cautions in your local market. So attorneys, be out there warning people what to look for and maybe safety when it comes to what they could be approached with when tourists are in town or people that just aren't used to the local environments.
Yeah, that's a really important one. And we see that a lot over spring break where a lot of people, out of towners, will come into a town and X, Y, and Z can happen. And then what happens? Well, the people in the town who aren't prepared, they're shocked. And it's like, hey, listen, if you're the person that's putting yourself out there and helping people be prepared for X, Y, and Z or holiday weekends or this or that, especially if you are local, well, cool. Who's the person that those people are going to trust when, the following week is going on and they need to call somebody? It's going to be you.
Yeah.
And that's a universal thing. Of course it's for lawyers, but that's almost for anything.
Well, I mean, look, it's in their business in particular, the adrenaline flows right after an accident. People remember very few things. So you want to make sure that you're top of mind with safety tips and awareness, especially at a timely instance when it's 4th of July. You could have a competitor out there that's with a stale message that they've been, bomb that they might have recorded a month ago or like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, they're essentially not like really current with what's going on. Or there's a lot of traditional media spots that are a year or two old. Yeah, the consumer might remember it, but typically people are going to remember something that creates like, a bump in action. Essentially they call it a pattern interrupter.
Yeah, pattern interrupt. I mean, you got to stop the scroll somehow. We're testing some new stuff on that this week of how can we get people to stop the scroll. And so always be thinking about what's going to grab your audience's attention. And also, and we talked about this before the show, you also want to speak to that client avatar that you're looking for and not worry too much about trying to speak to everybody. You want to speak to your client base. And so it can feel like you're not reaching anybody sometimes. You can feel like my views are low, but you're earning trust. The more people see you and they see you consistent about your topic, personal injuries, being a law firm, being available, the more people see that, the more they trust you. So don't worry too much about your virality when you're trying to get clients. I think people get the two things confused. A lot of viral people out there that don't have great client bases. And then there's a lot of people with 10 or 15,000 followers that are making big money. So don't get it confused.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a fine line there, but definitely
there is.
Start producing, get the content out there. You'll start to see what, strikes and what's hot. But the way the algorithms are working, they're definitely locked into what we're saying. They're definitely locked into the visuals, and they're digesting everything. So if somebody's out there searching the social platforms, they're bound to find you if you're more current, you're more topical at any given time.
100%. 100%. And that's why I love this topic of the 4th of July stuff. It's great.
Yeah. And then, as we go forward, you got to be amplifying traditional media with social integration. So essentially, if you're running other platforms in the environment, if you're on the radio, if you're on television, if you're on the billboards, if you're sponsoring local events, make sure that you're out there and you're communicating where people can see you and find you. Once again, the Morgan & Morgan team is great about this. All the events that they sponsor and that they have feet on the ground at, they're always posting on their social media and essentially cross-tagging to it. If you're running billboards in town that people might be seeing, be sure to post those billboards. I know Sweet James does it, and they broadcast those on their social media. When people are driving and they see that billboard again when they're on Instagram or on Facebook, it definitely resonates better. And don't let these mediums essentially stay siloed. Remember where the eyes are, remember where the impressions are, and bring everything back to your digital environment.
Yeah, I mean, having a home base to send people to is essential, or as you would say, it's critical. You have to have, where am I sending people? If you're on the internet and you've got great messaging, you got to make sure that you're sending them somewhere.
Well, like I said, lawyers with traditional presence, make sure you're bringing that traditional footprint back into the digital realm, right? Because that's going to be everything.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so important. If you're in one of those mediums, send them to your socials, send them to your website, send them somewhere where you can nurture that attention and those eyeballs so that you can get in touch with these people and create a connection. I think that's why social media is so great for people, because if you're on radio or TV and they do come to you, well, where are they going to go to make a connection with you? Sometimes that connection gets lost. Yeah, maybe you reached a bunch of eyeballs, but like we saw on the Super Bowl ads that we reviewed, we couldn't find these companies. We couldn't find their pages. We couldn't even find how to connect with these people, and they spent millions of dollars on social media ads. So if you are investing, make sure people can get to you and connect with you.
Yeah, and I would say some of the better traditional media advertisers on the Super Bowl were definitely carrying the audience from the traditional platform into their social handles. That's the main objective of a lot of their ads, and always have been. Like when you look at the memorable ads, in essence. So
totally,
essentially, what's that?
Totally, 100%.
Yeah, it's like staying relevant, staying critical, and just really like hitting the horn. And then just to talk about random stuff out there, I thought it was pretty cool to see F1 topping the box office, and essentially it came from Amazon Film Productions. So it's cool to see Amazon taking their streaming platform and now bringing it to the big screen. I think that's just a sign of the times, man. It's just like their traditional outreach to, I guess, if somebody liked it in the theater, to bring them back into the digital platform.
Yeah, they've created such a powerhouse media platform on top of the store that, I mean, our kids are on Amazon Prime. They've got their own shows for kids. All these movies are available on Prime. I mean, they're very competitive. And for $100 a year, you get a lot for your cash.
Look, Amazon has decades of success ahead of them. There's not, a person almost on the planet that doesn't know about Amazon at this rate. It's that Amazon effect. And they're just doing a lot of things, where you're like, are they making money with this? Are they making money with that? They're making money with certain things. At the end of the day, they're just imprinted in people at every age at this stage.
Yeah, everybody knows Amazon. Everybody knows Amazon Prime. I mean, my kids want some kind of Lego thing they see, and they're like, oh, I wonder if there's a better price on Amazon when we get home. And I'm just like, oh.
It's amazing. My kid,
you tell them no at the store, and they're like, well, maybe it's better priced on Amazon. And you're like, oh.
Well, even at 8, so my boy, he likes Legos, but Legos has the trademark and the brand, but we bought an alternative Lego set. Like, it's not Legos. It was cooler because it had like electronics and all this thing like
Right.
built into the actual like Lego structure itself. So yeah, he's gonna be indulging and playing with that versus an actual Legos. They lost $40 right there, but
Right.
yeah.
Well, there's always going to be somebody who says, hey, how can we optimize this? How can we build our own version of this?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's what you continue to see happening. Everybody's just fine tuning the models.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
that's
100%.
that's the path to victory. And there's always David versus Goliath and like ways as to like how you continue to refine your self or sharpen your axe to become more relevant. And when it comes to law firms and you're looking at such a local presence and a local market, you have national players kind of stepping into your presence.
Yep.
There's nothing more than you can do than double or triple down on your local presence because that's going to get your law firm to the next level. The big guy can't always have that local conversation, but they are. So
Yeah, absolutely. And even with any business out there, make sure to apply that in your own backyard. Go out and meet some people. Figure out how you can serve them. Figure out what people in your area, where they're navigating to for the solution that you provide, and figure out how you can become the number one in that category, especially as a law firm.
Yep. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm starting to notice it now because we talk about it so much. More and more of this law firm marketing. I've sent you some pretty funny texts from billboards that I thought were pretty good.
I mean, look, there's definitely, funny texts. There's definitely like funny, conversations going on there. But I would also say that, in various markets across, the country and the world in general, you're seeing a little bit of softness. So you're even seeing it from Morgan and Morgan where they're dialing in their message really hardcore. They went from like a jovial message, I would say almost a year ago to like now they're getting really serious. I would say that, from the old NBA jams, they're putting the nail in the coffin. They're definitely, if they were pinching in on your market, now they're getting real intentional about their message. And they're saying to call us, call our family, call our mom,
Yeah.
like we're responsible, we'll get the job done. So it's interesting to see even them dialing in their message with, seriousness to really carry it forward.
Well, and they've done a great job of spreading the butter across the entire piece. I mean, they don't just want to be in one place. That's very clear. They want to be nationwide. They want to be viral. Like you said, we saw them on an interview with one of those viral guys that interviews people that have made a lot of money. He's now on that channel. Like, the dude is everywhere.
Hey, the dude is, he call himself a lion, and he called his competitors the sloths. So he'll give you the blueprint, but he still knows he's the lion in the jungle. So
It's awesome. It's awesome
there's a lot
to watch.
be said for that.
Definitely.
So,
What else we
anyhow,
got, Zach?
That's it, man. Have a safe 4th of July. Definitely have an awesome holiday, and always great connecting.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. We got clips coming at you this week. If you want to watch the show, it's available on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Facebook. And so you can always watch the replays. For Zach Hoffman, I am Pat Hilton, giving it to you live. Exults in the house. Have a great, happy 4th of July, and we will see you
Be safe
on the next one.
Have a great holiday. See you. Bye.